All right, time to get objective.
Here we go.
What are the main points that you need to work on when it comes to your upper?
Realistically, I think chest right now, because chest was something I always thought was like a strong point for me. And then I looked in the mirror and I'm like, actually, you know, putting upper chest first, like incline Smith kind of thing.
Yep.
Recently, I feel like it's priority for me. But you're the expert. What do you think if you had to assess on my physique currently?
All right, let's take a look.
Besides everything.
Shoulders are well developed.
Shoulders,
So shoulders should very much be a point that you're not too focused on. Take the backpack off so I can see.
I'm doing the backpack glitch here.
Yeah. Okay, shoulders well developed. Arms could use some bringing up. Give me a bicep. Let me see. Oh, biceps are good.
I've been sequencing them first for a while. So
biceps are good.
I changed.
Yeah,
so I
that can take a back seat. Triceps could use some work.
Tricep, right? Like long head, like just overall, like density. Yeah. Back here.
All right, you need some more traps.
More traps?
Yeah.
Like that's pronated, like super wide grip rowing has kind of been my...
All right, we got a good baseline. Let's figure out what first exercise is.
Let's do it.
All right. So I would honestly say for you, I think your chest is more developed than your traps.
Really? Really? So traps are like a noticeable weak point?
Yeah, traps. Because like if you take a look at your back, what you see here is you've got good overall V, but then it comes up here and you're missing this you're missing this thick, backwards pop.
This thick piece.
Right.
And it's funny, I've been training neck, like neck flexors recently actually, because I thought, oh, my neck is a weak point. But obviously traps I know get trained kind of with neck extension too, so it's just like having some kind of pronated row we can put first.
Do you do, what's your hinge movement of choice?
My normal hinge is SLDL right now. I'm at like 300 for like 5 or 6-ish with like good technique.
So people will not talk about this, and this is something that has always bothered me.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like strength and hypertrophy. They're not like, I'm like, they're so much more correlated than people realize.
Yes.
So whenever I ask somebody who has like smaller erectors, I'm like, okay, what's your like SLDL numbers? Always, it's never like 500 plus, like it's never up there. Right. And I'm like, okay.
So is that in your opinion like the absolute go-to for like erector, hamstring, over? I know adductor magnus gets involved too. I just love it. So like,
it's fun. I think objectively speaking, there's probably things you could do that are a little bit more direct for the erectors, but I'm like, you know what? SLDLs are fun. It's really cool to see the progression.
Yes.
And if you're SLDLing a crap ton of weight, you're gonna develop some pretty good erectors.
You're pretty big everything, like posterior chain wise is pretty much gonna get,
The erectors take a lot more than people realize. So what happens is they're like, oh, well, I'm not necessarily feeling it in my glutes and my hamstrings. I literally use the SLDLs for my erectors.
For your erectors.
Yeah, because I can get better for the hamstrings.
Erectors take 3 times as much muscle damage. Have you heard that or like believe that or no?
3 times as much?
Yeah, people say, oh, they take 3 times as much muscle damage for some reason, so that like working on like not training them as frequently or whatever. Like that's what some people have said. I'm like mixed on that.
That's kind of funny because I've not heard that, but I literally don't train my erectors as much as other things.
Okay, that's
so like I literally I do SLDLs maybe once a week. And it's just, for me, it's just maintenance volume at this point. I'm not trying to
that's already a strong point. Yeah.
I'm not trying to like build them out super thick.
Has your main, like, I know you mentioned your weak point's always been like your chest. Is that still at this point like a weak point for you, do you feel?
So yes and no. It's funny because when I went to a natural bodybuilding show, and I was like looking at people around me, I'm like, my chest isn't small relative to these guys. It's small for me relative to my triceps, but I'm like, it's not small relative to other people. So it really just comes down to like comparing your physique to yourself rather than other people. And so obviously my chest is always going to be weaker than my tricep.
Very like your front L tricep. I know you're very tricep dominant, so I know that's,
So it's like, it's a lot better than it used to be. I would say the thing that is always going to be like a priority for me, no matter what, is lats.
Lats, I know.
Always.
But you know, you mentioned structurally that like for whatever reason, just the way they insert, it doesn't have that like Terrence Ruffin type.
And like, they're pretty darn strong.
Yes.
And they're actually decently thick. Yeah. That's why if you see me do like a pose like this, you'll see like there's a decent slab
really nice lat there. Yeah.
But it has to be bigger.
It's that structural limitation. But hey, that's part of it, right? They're just fighting around that, you know?
All right, let's get the first exercise.
Perfect. Let's do it. When it comes to like gym etiquette and stuff, people are not able to like differentiate like what like basic social skills are, you know? I'll be walking someone like, hey, you know any more you got here? Oh sure, take your time. Like it's that simple, you know? There's always
Hey, how many sets do you have? 2? That's cool. Thanks.
Thank you, bro.
So just for today, what we're gonna do first is we're gonna do upper chest, and then hopefully by the time we're done upper chest, that guy will be done with the trap, and then we'll get some rows in. But he's gonna try out this machine, see if he likes it. If he doesn't like it, we'll just head over to a Smith. Because if an exercise is not working well for you, a lot of times people are like, oh, like this is a better exercise. I'm like, but if you don't connect well with it, if it doesn't actually work well for your structure, there's nothing wrong with figuring out another option. There's always another option.
So I'd be lying if I said I didn't like this. This is nice. The only thing is it's a little sticky. You feel like it's like harder on the concentric than the eccentric a little bit?
The one issue I have with this machine, I think it's because sometimes they don't oil it properly. So sometimes it's like a little bit smoother than others. The other thing is, if we're trying to go for the upper chest, you would raise the seat up and we'd take this.
Lower here?
Take these handles instead.
Okay. And you feel like you don't worry about that getting too much tricep, like too much elbow bend when you do that?
No. See, that's why you raise the seat. Because if you don't raise the seat, then what's going to happen is you're going to get like a super big tricep bend.
So something like this, even in here, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, feels pretty nice. Yeah, it's good.
If you, and I'm not kidding when I say this, if you don't connect well with it, like let's just go do Smith. Like which would you want to do?
Probably, do we have an angled Smith where it angles up?
All Smiths here are straight.
They're all straight?
Yeah.
I think we're fine here. I think we're good. Yeah. I think we'll work our way up here. We could start there with our warm-ups and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I think like a lot of times people don't like angled Smiths, and I'm like, it just depends on the exercise you're doing. If you have an exercise that works well, where you're trying to get a little bit of an arced path, works really well.
I love it for upper chest, just because I can kind of like curve around a little bit. It's just so nice. If it's straight, like I'll wait more at my gym for probably 10-20 minutes just to use an angled Smith.
Yep.
How do you feel about when you talk about like exercise sequencing, right? Are you someone, from what I've seen, you don't really care as much about like when you're hitting, because you say, okay, my CNS is just giving this muscle a little bit more love by putting it at the beginning. Okay. But what I'll do, like recently what I've been doing, and I know someone like, say like Ryan Jewers might be more apt to do, is to do the same exercise sequence, the same order, like at all costs, because people think like, okay, hey, you're getting more effective reps that way or whatever. Like, how do you feel about that? Or are you just gonna put like whatever you prefer first and whatever you want your CNS to give more love to first?
I'm confused as to why you wouldn't. I guess maybe I'm missing the question.
So, say sometimes people will train, say, side delts, right? And if I have a routine like a side delt biased upper day, I'll put my side delts first every side delt biased upper day session.
Sure.
If there's a day where, a bunch of people are on the side delt machine, do you wait 20 minutes for it, 15 minutes for it?
Oh, no.
No.
That's why we're doing this.
Okay, so you're not someone that's as like super detail oriented.
I'm not gonna be like, let's put it this way, if triceps are like my last exercise for the day, or let's say they were first.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not going to like, I'm gonna find a way to make sure they don't get hit last.
Yeah.
But if I have one exercise before it, I'm not gonna freak out.
Yeah, it's okay. I see. So I know there's two different approaches to that, because some people are like, hey, the sequence has to stay the same, or else.
It's technically speaking, it would be better if it did.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the world if it doesn't.
Right.
That's also why like I do a lot of auto-regulation within my programming.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you know what, like this is feeling like I'm a little bit more fatigued than I want to be, or I have a crap ton of energy for this. Like, might as well do another set.
Right.
Do one less. Like, a lot of times people will ask me like, oh, how many sets? I'm like, it depends on the day.
Depends.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
So.
But I feel like that's more sustainable long term, really.
It is. It is. And it's like, it helps you to actually learn some things about your body. A lot of times people get so obsessed with hyper focused programming that they don't actually learn anything.
Right.
They're just like, they're just following a set structure and routine.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
Same thing with
true.
their diet too.
Yeah. No, people are so, it fascinates me, like a lot of old, like say like 90s-esque bodybuilders will do the most ridiculous, like neurotic things with their diet. And then when they ask about their training, it's like, oh yeah, we just do whatever. And it's just like, they don't care at all about like being sort of detail oriented with their training, but then they'll like weigh out every gram of rice perfectly. And it's like,
it's because they're on gear. Mm-hmm. Like I know people don't want to admit that. It's because they're on gear.
And have amazing genetics too.
And the gear that they're on is going to carry so much more than the training. So you know how people are like, oh, well, these science-based lifters are overthinking it?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so what you got to understand is we're fighting for like an additional like 1, 2, 3 pounds of muscle.
Especially at your level.
For them, if their cycle is on point, that's going to take care of like, for the top guys, that's going to take care of like an additional 50 to 80 pounds of muscle mass.
Yeah.
So what we're worrying about to them is legitimately small.
It's infinitesimal.
It is legitimately small.
Yeah.
But for us, it's a lot more important because that inch can make a big difference.
Of course. Yeah, dude. Especially too, like if you're someone that genetically is not prone to just putting on a whole lot of muscle, and some people, you know, genetically just do not have like great propensity to actually put on size.
Yeah.
I feel like every little ounce of like detail is just so unbelievably important.
Yeah.
Like from a training standpoint, you know?
No, like if you take a look at my physique when I was 165 lean, like shredded versus 170 shredded, it is noticeable. Like it is pretty big difference.
It's huge. I remember the biggest thing I saw with you is when you did that like chest experiment. Remember you ran that for like 5 months where you did like the 5 sets a week with the 1 set of pec deck? The difference in your chest in that time when you talked about the training intensity was unbelievable to watch. Like,
no, it was
that was just changing your training, you know?
The funny part was, like, a lot of people were like, oh, well, didn't you do this and get good results? I'm like, yeah, just because you got good results doesn't mean you couldn't have got better results doing something
different. Of course.
Like, so they're like, well, why did you get better results from going to 1 time a week? I'm like, the reason that I got better results from going to 1 time a week is because when I was training it twice a week with that level of intensity, I could not recover.
You don't recover in time.
So it was a problem with my intensity, and I fixed it by making it less frequent when I could have fixed it by saying, you know what, maybe I don't need to be going this intense on each individual day. It's like, so yeah, I got better results because I took away one of the things that was holding me back.
One of the variables. Yeah, of course. Are you gym pinning this one normally?
Yeah, I'll have to. If you push really fast with it, it can be a little bit jerky as it comes back down. So what I've told him specifically to do is to not try and go as fast as possible on the way up, just so that he's a little bit under more control so that it's not doing this little wobble as he comes back down.
So hand-wise, do you prefer probably a little higher up, I guess?
Whatever works best for your structure.
So structurally, like we're here, something like this. And you actually prefer here to here, right? Definitely for upper chest?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it. Feeling good. 264, minimal arch here. Try to keep it upper chest biased. All right.
Ready? Yep, good. Yep, control it up, back down, nice. Good. One more, come on. Up. Good, done.
Okay, about 1 RIR, maybe 0 RIR if I had like gun in my head, but about 1 to 0 RIR, feeling pretty good. Probably do 1 or 2 working sets here and then hop into some flat press just in a little bit. So should be good. Good stuff. Up. Okay. Perfect. Good shit, dude. That's exactly where I stopped. Like that, 1 to 0 RER range. It's like, could you have maybe gotten a half a rep there? I guess.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the fatigue cost on that last rep is almost never worth it. Like that.
I only do it if it's like there's not a lot left to do in the day.
Yeah. Just to like dump that last little bit.
It's like I know I would not be able to get another rep.
Yeah.
I would just be grinding for no reason at that point.
And people watch a set like that and not realize how intense it is too. It's just amazing. They'll watch like a 4-rep set like that that's like super hard, and they won't realize the level of intensity it takes to get there.
People have equated, unfortunately, length of a set with intensity.
Yes.
So what happens is when somebody's groaning for a really long time, like a lot of pain, like and they're doing it for like 8, 9, 10, sometimes even like 20 reps.
Yeah.
What they do is they start to equate that with intensity because it's like, they've been in pain for a long time. Yeah. Therefore, more intense. It's like, no. And you don't even have to feel pain to get intensity. Like when people say they're like, oh, but I don't feel it when I do 5 reps. I'm like, did you stop moving the weight? Yeah. I'm like, what do you think was moving the weight up to that point? Even if you didn't feel it. Yeah. It's like if your technique is good, it is that muscle group that's moving that weight.
It's amazing. I still get comments and stuff from people sometimes about like, you know, oh, should I be doing this? You know, I don't feel this exercise. And I'm like, is it on paper and like in video a good execution? If it's a good execution, then keep doing it. Like you don't have to feel every single thing. Everywhere.
That's an interesting point that you bring that up too, because not enough people film their sets. Yeah. So like I'm like, how's your technique on it? They're like, oh, it's good. I'm like, send me a video of it. They'll send me video and I'll be like, wow, that is horrible. That is horrible. Like I don't know. Like sometimes somebody will hire me for coaching. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, I've been following you for 3 years or so. And so I almost get nervous because I'm like, oh dang, like do I actually have anything to add to it? Right. And they'll hire me and then they'll send me a working set and I'll be like, holy shit, you've been following me for 3 years and your execution is still this poor? Yeah. Like dang.
People a lot of times don't realize it, you know? Like it's just not something. Did you want to do another one here?
Into a habit.
Want to do another set here, by the way?
It's up to you.
We could, if you want, move to flat. If you want to like do more like variety and less sets of each, it's up to you. See a flat press you like, we could do that.
All right. Actually, we're going to do traps next because it looks like the machine opened up, but then we'll come back for finishing off the chest.
You know what's funny? Like, you talk about training intensity. Like, I was certain people, they think that like moaning and groaning for a longer period of time equates to more intensity. There are certain people that are more coachable like than others. I feel like where certain people just, whatever you tell them, they actually will like take what you're saying, truly process it and listen to you.
Sure.
Like there's a guy that I'm working with now, it's like a doctor, like smart dude. People actually like, when I explain something like effective reps or certain like theories on like, hey, here's why like a 5 rep set might be better than a 22 rep set, right? People actually take it, like listen to what I'm saying and go, okay, that makes sense. Where some people, I guess, are so convinced by like a podcast they heard, where you'll see like a charlatan podcast, and I'll talk to someone, I'm like, dude, hey, that's a little, you know, I'm a little iffy on that, man. And he goes, oh, but you know, this guy's an expert in whatever, he said this. And I go, yeah, but, and I see like, I feel like health science, like even more than lifting, like health science as a category is horrible when it comes to that.
It's like, what people have yet to understand and what people have yet to figure out is the people who don't have degrees in like these fields are typically, I shouldn't say typically, the ones who have thrown themselves into understanding this stuff and being in the literature actually understand these topics better than your physiotherapists, than your doctor, like your MD doctors.
Right.
And stuff like that. It's like, okay, you have to understand, nowhere in medical school do they really go through the mechanisms behind hypertrophy and biomechanics and how to apply that in the gym. It's like, that's like, everybody's like, oh, but they're doctors. Like, this isn't their area.
No.
Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not going to go argue with them on something that is much more medically related.
Like kidney disease, I don't, you know, I trust
like
them
like
on that.
I'll leave you to that stuff. It's like, what? You're not going to understand how to grow muscle better than me.
No, it's literally just not.
Or at least if you do, it's because you went off and did your own studying.
You did your own,
not because of what you learned in your PhD program.
I mean, if you ask the average doctor about, if you tell the average doctor,
MD program,
or whoever, if you ask them that you're drinking diet soda, right, and you say, oh yeah, I drink a bunch of diet soda, the reaction you will get from like 90% of doctors is like going to be completely irrational, like a completely irrational reaction. But again, I guess, you know, they're not paid to stay up to date on that stuff, so kind of makes sense, I guess. Okay. Ooh. I wish I had one of these at my main gym.
It's interesting. Is that your standard form, or is the machine a little bit awkward for you?
I have to lower it probably, and also the mics are limiting. I got to probably move this a little bit. Normally I'd lower the seat a little more, and probably try to limit my elbow bend just a little bit more. But I'll definitely love your opinion on my execution here.
Let me see. It's a good height for me, but what I noticed when you're performing it, like here, try it again without the mics to see if it changes the way you.
Let's see. I'm gonna move these more to the side. Yeah, because they're totally out of the way.
What's your platform at this point, followers wise?
Followers right now I'm at 30 on TikTok and 30 on IG.
Okay.
And I just made a new YouTube channel because my old one was kind of dead, so I just started that. It's at like 200 subscribers, getting like 500 to 1,000 views a video.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So chipping away, you know, day by day kind of thing. I'm mastering in marketing back home, so if I, you know, happen to need to pull into the degree side for a little bit to make some extra money or whatever, I'll have that as an option. Yeah, here's probably how I would do this realistically.
Are you purposely shrugging upwards?
I don't think I'm doing anything intentionally particularly, no.
Interesting, okay.
I have scoliosis too on the top of my back, like slightly. I don't know if that's like setting off any...
I don't know if this is part of the reason why your traps aren't as developed as they could be.
Yeah.
But your technique is, I'll show you the difference.
Yeah.
So if you watch when I perform a row, all right, I should probably put this on my own video. Here, do you want to do a...
What is it? Perfect, awesome.
Do you want to do like a couple reps so they have a reference point?
Yeah, of course. Because I think realistically, like if I was sitting on this, I would actually set this up pretty much like this. Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. So, I noticed something when he was doing his reps, and I want to point it out to you guys because I see this happen quite a bit, and especially with people that are struggling with trap development. So, let's see you do the exercise, and then
here is realistically, like if I was at my home gym, here is pretty much how I would execute this.
All right. So, I'm going to show you what I noticed and see if you guys notice it as well.
Okay.
So when he's performing this exercise, what I see him doing is as he pulls back, it's this, right? And the shrug is happening upwards rather than in the motion that the machine is going. So there's this and then there's this, right? What you should be trying to do is you should be trying to just pull directly back like this. It should be just complete retraction and not any of this.
Okay.
So the more you do this, the harder it's going to be for you to get fully contracted through that position.
It's funny, that makes it a little easier as well, the way you do it in terms of like loadability and stuff. Like I think you'd actually load that a little heavier, which is probably, you know, for me, maybe I'm not loading it even as heavy as I could because of the way I'm like sort of like vertically lurching. I wonder if it has something to do with scoliosis, is I have a little bit of turn. Like
I'd be interested to see what happens when you consciously focus on keeping the shoulders a bit more down. Well, it's something I do notice with a lot of people is when they start doing rows, especially when it gets heavy for them, they'll start to go like this.
Like lurch
it's
up,
like, okay, but that's not actually what we're trying to go for. We're trying to go in the direct opposite direction of this.
And it's so funny because this is one of those machines where your sensation almost like lies to you sometimes with this, where you get a really good sensation but that means almost nothing. Like, because someone like you was able to look at that and immediately tell, whereas like you could sensation-wise feel like you're pretty much...
Dang, that is interesting. All right, so
seeing some improvement there.
Keep them down. Okay.
You'll also notice my shoulder's a little uneven, like my right's a little bit higher than my left, it seems, like when I do this kind of row. But
what happens if we increase the seat height?
If I go seat height higher, these machines look like they've been through a desert storm. I mean, oh my God.
We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure it out.
A little better, I think, yeah, right?
A little better, yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah, it's
we'll,
like,
what we'll do is after we're done with this, is we'll do Kelso shrugs.
Yeah.
To see if we can get it to be just full straight up retraction.
Yeah. Perfect. Because I think I got it closer, but there's just something like in my brain that like automatically like wants to lurch up.
Yep. It's a reflex, but I think we can get rid of it over time.
Yeah.
The only problem with adding a gym pin to this machine is sometimes it gets a little sticky. So we'll see what happens.
I know Alec will pull like 4 plates or 5 plates gym pin.
I've tried it with that. It is like, it's like by the time you get up to like 4 plates, it just really has a hard time like moving through a smooth range. But I think he's just so strong it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's a brute.
Crazy strong.
I still got to do a collab with him at some point.
Yeah, I know he lives. I don't think he lives here anymore. I think he lives a little further, right?
He moved?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's more like the Dallas area now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't even know that.
He's cool. Super cool, dude.
I need to keep my tabs better.
Back.
Okay. That is a little heavy.
Beautiful.
My goodness.
I love that you actually like brace against here. That's actually a tempting.
Oh, it's way better.
That's a tempting idea.
Way better to brace against that.
You know what's so funny? Like I watch how much weight you're rowing here, and that is more than probably 99% of IFBB pros are actually rowing during their workouts because literally they just don't push themselves. Like why are you 250 pounds, 6'2", 250, curling 25s or 30s? Like it's for working sets.
It's a really tough one because it's like I don't want to discredit people.
Right.
But if you take a look at it, if you like, a lot of times people say, "Oh, but they're big and they still have this." I'm like, they're big a lot of times in spite of their training, not because of
their training. Yes.
And I'm not saying that the training is horrible either.
Right. Of course.
I'm just saying there is ways to make it slightly better.
I feel like there's 2 sides to it because again, like you have people like relative like in the fitness industry, like myself, and tons of people who've never won a show, never done anything like that, where they have like accomplishments to stand on. But like, it's nice to have a conversation about like, hey, what is objectively like a better thing to do?
Right.
And I feel like having accomplishments or whatever does not automatically mean you're correct about certain things. It gives you a leg to stand on.
I think part of the thing that I struggle with too, here, I'll let you do your set.
Yeah. But I'm just feeling it out. I'm still
warming up. Still figuring it out.
But think this feels a little nicer.
Okay.
Does that look? How's that look from the back? Like when you watch me here?
Let me take a
if I do
look.
175, same thing, trying to like brace against
Guy
it.
wants me to watch
with
from the back. A little sus.
All right.
That looks good. There's a slight shrug up, but it's not keeping you from doing what you need to do.
Gotcha.
Now, what I was saying is, one of the things that I struggle with is a lot of times people will just use whoever and whatever to make their point rather than thinking through the points. Right. So they'll be like, oh, well, take a look at this guy. He does this and like he's big and everything. I'm like, in the end, I don't care what you say. Ronnie Coleman was incline dumbbell benching 200 pounds in each hand for 12 reps.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me that he's not stupidly strong.
Of course.
And that he's not developing well because he's moving very heavy weight.
And if there's video of him curling 30s for working weight, that does not mean he got to his size because he curled 30s.
There's other videos of him curling 80s. Right? Like there's somebody will point to that and I'll be like, did you look at the video that was two down from that one where he's 80 pounds? I'm like, he's ridiculously strong.
It's so funny because recently on TikTok they were debating about whether or not Lee Priest ever trained to failure, and literally I saw a video of him training nowhere near failure, and then a video of him training to failure.
I know.
And I'm like, did you see that?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you can pick and choose to make your points based off of whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's not a good way to argue. Yeah. Argue the actual point rather than who's doing said point.
Right, of course. So I've got 200 here. I think this might be close for a working set. So gonna up down. Okay. Oof. All right. I'll probably stack it.
I was gonna say, you should be able to stack this.
Yeah, stack that. Probably get that for working set here. So I've got 250 on here. I feel like I might get it for like 8 to 10 if I had to guess. Do you think we should put like a gym pin and like a 25 on for safe
measure? If you think you could do that for 8 to 10, yeah, then let's toss in a gym pin.
Let's do it. It might be too heavy, but if it is, then whatever, I'll just drop it off.
So no. So what I do is this: if you have a training partner, and you're not going to be able to make it to the rep range, I'll just help you to get to the rep range.
I like that. That sounds good. Let's see. This is a 25. That seems good. I think we'll get at least 4 with this.
Otherwise, you're just fatiguing yourself unnecessarily on that first bit.
Right.
It's like, but I want to turn this into a true working set.
Because then you're turning it almost into a 1 rep max in a way when you do, Do you think we should come in maybe 1 more? Let's see.
Whatever works for you, T-Rex arms.
Let's see here.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
I was feeling that before I started putting biceps first. My biceps used to be literally like non-existent. I'm like literally non-existent where they were not there. And I said for 6 months I'm gonna put biceps first on every day. And I'm like, they came up a little bit.
They look really good right now.
They came up a little bit, so I'm like, dude, I at least feel sort of,
I mean, maybe you just had severe body dysmorphia, but either they were bigger than you thought, or they came up a lot.
Yeah,
it's one or the other.
I feel like they came up a lot, but it could be the dysmorphia thing. Who knows, right? Okay. All right. Here we go.
Ready? Pull through. Good. Pull through. Good. One more. Come on. Pull through. Good.
All right.
Now it's always been an interesting one to me because like the same people that will tell me that the amount of weight you move has like no correlation to your muscle and everything like that. I'm like, guess what? When I go up with guys who are enhanced, guess what exercises I keep up with them on? Triceps and traps.
Yeah, for a reason.
And my triceps are big. My traps are more developed.
Yes.
Like I have similar body parts to a lot of guys who are enhanced in that regard.
Right.
But it's like the other ones where I'm significantly smaller.
Yes.
Those ones they destroy me in.
What about people? Have you trained with people who are super dominant, like say Shizzy with biceps? Have you trained with people who are super dominant in one body part like that as well?
I've never trained biceps. I would guess that if we trained arms together, he'd probably destroy me.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I guess I know there's some genetic variance there too, with some people where, genetically, I guess they have a predisposition to maybe not being as strong despite visually looking bigger, but...
Oh, and trust me, I'm not saying it's a one-to-one.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times, it's like, people can't have the nuanced conversation where it's like, okay, we're talking about generality, right? So when you take a look at a graph when it comes to muscle mass and strength, typically what happens is there's a line that goes through it, and there's people on either side of it, but there's a correlation correlation that makes its way upwards.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be some people who are on this side of the line. There's some people that are on this side. And then there could be people who are like ridiculously on one side or the other.
Yeah.
But we're talking generally
outliers.
speaking.
Yeah, you have the outlier kind of thing. Yeah. Did you want to do a second set here?
So what I would say is, did you want to get in, did you want to do Kelso shrugs today?
We could, yeah. Then we could maybe leave it at one more.
Let's do a Kelso shrug.
Yep, that seems.
And then we'll move on to something else.
We'll opt for more variety there. Yeah, dude, I can't tell you. Like,
oh, you'll need a gym pin for a Kelso.
Oh no, that's yours, right?
Yeah, but you'll need a gym pin for a Kelso.
Oh, you want to do it on this machine, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, this machine can double real well.
Oh yeah. I thought we were going to something separate. Yeah.
Nah.
Let's do it. Yeah, this machine's super versatile.
That's the thing. Like, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah.
Because for me, traps are kind of like they're a back burner
kind of thing for you.
So when we do lats, that's when I'll do a little bit more.
When you do Kelso shrugs on here, are you normally grabbing pronated here, just kind of same position you would for a row?
Yep. Here, what you want to do first? Here, wait for a second. That way you can take and you can actually let it fully retract forward.
There, yeah. All right.
And we are staying on the same machine. And what Matt's going to do here is he's going to do Kelso shrugs. If you have a good machine, you can use it for a bunch of things. Go ahead.
I think this.
Have you had enough rest?
Yeah, I feel rested. This feels pretty close to my working weight. I'll probably just do one just to feel it out and get your opinion on. So I'll probably hop in here.
Bro, you're overthinking it. You can go straight into a working set.
Yeah. I know. I was just feeling it out. You know.
All right.
I like to do like an extra just to get it ready. I'll take usually like 15 or 30 seconds, just kind of recharge mentally.
Here, let me see something first, all right?
Yeah, sure.
Put your arms out, but don't actually hold on to it. Now I want you to just straight retract. Okay. So that's what I want you to focus on trying to do.
Retraction.
All right? No shrug upwards, just straight retraction. All right?
Got it. I could probably go slightly lighter.
Shoulder movement.
Just slightly lighter. All right. Pure retraction here. Let's go a little bit lighter. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay. And
yep, pull back. Good. Pull back. Good. Pull back. Good. Come on. Yep. One more. Come on. Pull back. Good.
All right. That felt about probably 1-0 RAR, and the kind of reason why we picked Kelso shrugs here as something to throw in after doing our wide grip upper back rowing is because for me and TNF are talking about my trap development, and essentially my traps are just lagging a little bit behind compared to the rest of my body. So by sequencing Kelso shrugs just a little bit earlier in the session, giving a little bit more motor recruitment to the traps, and just kind of getting a little bit more nervous system output, throwing it near the beginning, and having a movement that is pretty much solely biased towards isolating the traps. So we're gonna keep going here with some more back stuff and some more chest stuff soon as well.
Are you planning on competing at any point? People, how my body is when it comes to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, dude, you're being so humble and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not. I'm giving you an objective analysis as I would give to anybody else as a coach.
Right, because that honesty you acquire over time almost. Like, as you do, you just get more honest with
so
yourself.
It's like, they're like, oh, like, yo, you top level natural pro, and I'm just like, not even close. There is so, the gap between me and those guys is so big that I'm like, you don't understand it until you stand next to that person, and then you have an objective way to compare it.
Yeah.
And then what they'll say is, oh, but that person's a fake natty. I'm like, you think they're a fake natty because their structure's so good. Their
structure's just mind blowing compared to a lot of other people. Yeah. I'm
like, but you take a look at it. Their weight, their level of muscularity, it all makes sense. They just happen to have great insertions.
Right.
It's like, and that's nothing you can do. Yeah. That's just your parents.
Yeah. Pick better parents is the saying, but it's that's true.
So they got this one right here.
This one's solid. Yeah, I love this. When I shit you not, the video I made was literally a video talking about here are my top 5 pet peeves in the gym, and it was like little fun fact kind of things. I'm like, not re-racking plates or whatever I said. And one of the things I said was people who complain to like the front desk about people filming themselves. And I'm like, if you're filming yourself in a gym, like it's effectively a public place, like, especially if the gym doesn't have a rule banning it. A lot of gyms allow it. So if you complain about other people filming themselves, stay home, don't go to a public gym. That was my statement. And a certain person in the industry who's very well known for making videos about gym wrongdoers made a video about me, essentially lumping me in with,
it's because you said stay home.
Yes, it's that word. It's that little.
If you hadn't said that,
it's that little.
It would have completely gone under the radar.
It's that little 2-second edge.
Bro.
Like, oh, some people have, you know, anxiety about the gym, and I can't believe you make people feel bad. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And people were literally calling my gym from all over the world, harassing them about me. And I go, dude.
I've had people tag him in various videos of mine.
Yes.
And I'm like, go ahead and try. Go ahead and try.
Try
like, see what happens. I'm like, because I will go to war on the things that I talk
things
about.
You talk about and care about. But dude, it's freedom of speech at a point. I'm like,
so
bro,
dumb.
that's an opinion, man. Like, there are people who do legitimately bad things in gyms, man. But like having an opinion.
You didn't even, and that wasn't, you weren't even showing people on camera or anything like that, right?
Like literally, my TikTok, my whole platform is the same way yours is or anybody else is. It was a video of like me working out, like B-roll in the background, me talking about my pet peeves in the gym.
Bro, that's
so it's literally B-roll, and I'm just like, yeah, I hate it when people complain about.
Did you take down that video?
No, it literally.
You didn't take it down. It's still up.
It raised 0 flags. No one on TikTok even cared until it was duetted.
But the video's still up.
The video's still up. Yeah.
Austin, go find that video. Go find that video and play it. I need to know. Well, I need to know if he's downplaying what he said in the video.
These two saw it. These two saw it, dude. But I tell you, that was it. And I'm hanging out with them. We're at a coffee shop during the day, and I'm like, I got a call on the phone. I'm like, oh, it's my gym. They're banning me for life. And I picked up the phone, and they go, oh, hey, it's your gym. Yeah, we're banning you for life. And I go, no shit. And they're like, we can't work out there. This is our home gym. And they go, okay, we'll call the district manager. So they talk to the district manager, and I'm like, hey, you guys know there was no incident here, right? Like nothing happened here. And the district manager goes, okay, we'll take it up with the owner. And then they call me back and go, yeah, we talked to the owner, and the owner just says you're a liability, so the owner just wants you banned. You're banned from every one of this gym from the entire state of Florida. That's the whole brutal. World. I'm like, dude.
That's like they didn't even ban Mike Van Wyck for a while.
Yeah, dude. It's like that. I go, dude.
It took them like a lot before they banned him.
Yeah, I'm like, dude. I made a top 5 video.
That's pretty funny, actually.
So see, when you feel like a machine like this, do you feel like when you're coming wide like this, especially for my structure is like some of the little bit smaller of a structure, do you feel like this is too wide? Because I feel like when I go this like pronated like this,
so,
I feel like...
So no, the only reason it feels wide right now is because it's not out of the bottom yet. Because once it's out of the bottom, it'll be already a little bit closer.
I gotcha. Okay, let's see.
Ready?
Oh, that's nice, that's light. Okay.
Good?
Yeah, I got a little more probably. Okay, let's see. That was, I think I'd probably do a 25, maybe in the mid, if you want to throw a 25 in the mid range, maybe.
Let's do it.
That's on the one peg, right? The mid, yeah.
Hey, your press is pretty strong.
You think so, strength-wise?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Cool. Yeah, incline Smith, like with good form, like on the incline arc, I'm doing like right about a plate and like 43 pounds on each side. I microplate it, so a plate and 43 for like 6 as like a working set.
Also, I'm gonna let you know a little secret. You think your chest is a weak point?
Yeah.
It's not.
No?
No.
Makes you feel good?
What happens a lot of the time is people think their chest is a weak point because they're not like super lean.
Okay.
If you were to get super lean, you'd notice right away that your chest is actually pretty good.
Okay, you're inspiring me to get super lean. All right. That's gonna be the project when I leave here. All right, here we go. Okay, ready? Work and set. Here we go.
Let's go.
Okay, ready?
Good. Yep. Good. Come on. Yep. Go. Good. Come on. Good.
Oh, okay, that was 0 IR there.
It goes from, I don't know what it is about this machine, but it goes from being very manageable to like super heavy, horrible, ridiculously
Near
fast.
the end, it gets horrible. Yeah. I think it's because these two handles are working like separately. They're not together. So you have to coordinate.
That's the thing I don't like about. I love machines that work on the same system.
I know. It's beautiful.
Love them.
You don't have to think about it.
Nautilus, man.
Yes.
It is by far my favorite chest press machine.
Do you do the one that's like where it says decline, or they're both effectively like a slightly decline press?
I do the regular one.
The one that says flat. That's what I've been doing recently too. Because the decline one aggravated my shoulder a bit.
I actually I got a gym membership membership for that machine.
Really?
Yeah. I liked it so much. I literally bought a membership to a gym because of that machine.
At the gyms that I'm not banned at, I use that. They're great.
Yeah,
They're
it's
awesome.
so good. You know what machine he's talking about? The Nautilus. I think it's called
Nautilus.
Is it a Nitro?
It's Nautilus, not
or Leverage.
Nautilus Leverage.
Yeah, you can toss
Nautilus
one of those
Leverage
up
is
here,
cool
Austin.
because
so nice.
the Nautilus Leverage machines are not. They're a little disproportionately hard at like the extreme stretch, which is the only thing I might not love. Is I feel like having a more well-rounded resistance profile where it's like more lengthened to mid, but like they're so comfortable and they feel so freaking good. And that lockout is like not hard at all.
And you literally have to worry about nothing but just doing the exercise.
Yes.
Like with other exercises, sometimes you feel like you have to like balance it a little bit. That one, it's like I'm just gonna push as hard as I can, and it'll work for my leverages perfectly.
Yes.
Love it. Let's see how this feels. Do you want to just press down on that to come out of the bottom, and after that, then you can just leave
and
it.
you're pressing down here?
Yeah, just out of the bottom.
Gotcha. Yeah. Whatever I can do here. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh.
My calf started cramping during the set.
Awful.
I did calves yesterday, and they've been like on the verge of cramping all day.
Yeah, I notice anything when I'm doing it in like a super lengthened range, like the cramps the next day is just horrible. Horrible.
So coaching is the thing that's the best when you're starting out because you have less audience. So what you want to do is you want to make more money out of the audience you do have. And out of the audience you do have, let's put it this way, right? You make a digital product, you have 1 million followers, and they're like a dedicated 1 million followers, you're going to make great money on that digital product.
Right.
You have 30,000, not near as much.
Right.
Where within that 30,000, all you need is 50 people who are really dedicated, who want coaching.
Yeah.
That's going to be much more scalable for you financially than.
And you said the biggest thing truly is like getting to like 10% body fat, you feel, getting a bunch of pictures, video, whatever, being in that range and people actually see that.
It's not about, here's the easiest way to describe it, right? You know how people say like, if you have the right jaw structure and stuff like that, like life is on easy mode for you.
Yeah.
Similar to in the fitness industry, if you're shredded, everything just becomes easier. So like if I'm shredded, and and my chest has striations going across it while I'm talking about a subject, I'm automatically gonna get like 50 to 80% more viewers, even though it has nothing to do with my physique.
Well, you get more fake natty accusations when you're leaner and smaller than actually on your bulk, which is amazing because people don't truly realize what being shredded looks like, I guess.
They have no idea what they're seeing through a camera.
Did you want to do a lat pull down like here? I don't know if you like this one or.
So
the only one I don't like is like the free bar one. Like any fixed plane lat pull down, like I'm down for it if you want to do that or.
I'm trying to figure out if this guy is leaving or staying. Hard to tell. I think he's leaving. Yeah, we can use this one. Yeah. People are like, oh, it's diverging, therefore it's bad. I'm like, no.
Hey, well, it's performing adduction. You're pulling into the side of the body.
I'm like, because all that matters is the way that your arm is arcing.
Of course.
So as long as you are doing this and you're pulling through here, it's like, unless it goes so far that you're never actually getting the elbows to come inward.
Yes.
That's a different story.
And I can never understand, like,
do
you prefer doing neutral like that, or you prefer going a little bit more like pronated kind of as well?
So the problem with going pronated with this machine is now you have to consciously focus on staying pronated. The neutral is more natural.
I see.
So you got to decide: is it worth it for me to pronate to have to force myself to hold my arms like that, or is it?
It does feel natural.
That's every
battle, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it's everybody's. That one is legitimately just pure preference.
Come down more. Okay, a little bit.
I don't think you can go down further.
Wow, that's
it's high.
The
seat's got to go up.
Oh, the seat's got to go up. Yep. It's funny because when you think about coaching and stuff like that, the way I always saw it was like, if I could prove to people I really care about them, and like people give you money and like, hey, I really like can care about this person. Yeah.
Let me see if I can make this face inwards a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
It's like the way I always saw coaching was like, I always wanted to prove. I never was someone where I'm like, oh hey, I have this amazing physique, hire me. I never wanted to be someone like that because for one, I never felt like I was out there, and I never wanted to be like a douche and say that kind of thing. So I always felt like if I put a lot of love into people and care about people, that is the be-all, end-all for getting people to like stay with you and whatever. But then you realize people who don't know you that well online are just scrolling. They're just, you know, you're just literally a blip out of their day. So when you're 10% body fat and you're this little blip, it's like, oh, hey, this caught my eye, you know?
Yep.
It doesn't matter how much you care about people if you're not at a visually impressive
People will hire
level.
you because for 3 different reasons. They'll hire you because you look good, they'll hire you because you know what you're talking about, or they'll hire you because they really like you.
Yeah.
And it's like, and if you have a combination of those
Yes.
3, that's when it really
That's where
it really comes together.
Yes. Oh, I like that. That's solid. We'll probably have to gym pin this one for you too. Let's see. 2. You want to feel this out at like 210? You want to warm up here?
Yeah, let me I probably won't need a gym pin if I make it heavier in the bottom.
Oh, is that what that adjustment does?
Yeah, so this is really nice, because what
cool.
you can do is, if you put it on 3, it'll be hard as it gets to the top. You put it on 2, it'll get hard as it gets to the bottom.
Oh, that's nice. So we'll probably make it, what do you have in the middle, or you have it harder at the top?
Hardest at the bottom.
Hardest at the bottom? Okay.
Because like that's where the lats are starting to gain their ability.
But aren't the lats weaker in the bottom though, technically?
No.
No?
So this is the thing that everybody gets wrong, right? They think because they are stronger at the top, that the lats are stronger at the top.
It's the triceps and chest
It's
topping in.
everything else coming into play.
Okay.
That's the exact reason why it's not as good for the lats.
Right.
Because everything else starts jumping in, and that's why you're so much stronger.
Right.
It's just like, so what happens
you're doing
is,
these huge stretches at the top, it's so obviously like chest getting involved in there. It's so obviously getting some tricep in there.
Nobody wants to admit it, and they're like, oh yeah, but the lats are so much stronger up there. I'm like, no, they're not. It's everything else is coming into play, and that's why you are stronger, not the lats.
Yes. Because they actually gain leverage as you're below, I think, 90 degrees, like that 90-degree angle.
I lied. Might have to actually gym pin this.
Gym pin.
We'll see. Yeah, I want to gym pin that, but
Let's see. Got whole stack plates over there too. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right.
the other thing we can do is we can make it slightly more even by just putting it on this.
On the middle peg there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not the middle, but like
in between.
There's one in between.
Yes, it's always a battle, I guess, between like where are you, the way I always see it is like where are you stronger, and then where does the muscle actually gain leverage, right? So lats have the most leverage, I know, like here at the bottom. But when I'm doing something like this, the way I've always internalized it is that, well, if it's more even of a resistance profile where it's hardest in the middle, your lats are not like disproportionately weak at the bottom, and then you're not getting like a disproportionate amount of chest at the top.
Everybody has to figure out where their range is.
Yeah.
Like it's not a right or wrong answer.
Right,
there.
right.
Like I think that sometimes I'll say something, I'll be like, I do something this way, and then people will be like, oh, but TNF said like you have to do that. I'm like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I said this is how I do it.
That's how I do it. Yeah. That's a discussion I've had with a lot of people. It's like the more experience you get, the less likely you are to speak in absolutes.
It's like some things are black and white, some things are dark gray, some things are light gray, but anything that's dark gray or light gray, people like to pretend is black and white.
Right, right.
There is some legitimately gray area, and people do not want to pretend like they don't know something.
Right. Well, here's a gray area. How do you feel about biceps, right? So obviously, biceps are the most active at the bottom in terms of where they're actually having the most leverage to produce force. But I know around 90 degrees, that's where they produce the most force, no? At around 90 degrees, they're actually the strongest. Like, if you're in a curl, at around 90 degrees, would you agree your biceps are strongest, physically strongest there?
Is it that your biceps are strongest, or is it that you're strongest there?
That's a good difference. Say your yeah, it's a good question.
I actually haven't looked at the leverage data in a while, so I'd have to look back to see exactly where that kind of break point is.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is this: if I make it a little bit heavier in the bottom, and then I take and I pull through this part, it gets a little bit easier at the top.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm breaking past this point, I really don't care.
Right.
Like it's like we can quibble over exactly where the best absolute point is, but in the end, if you're curling, you're getting the curl heavier over time, and you're working pretty well while it's in the bottom portion,
to mid, yeah,
then you're going to be fine.
Right.
And it's like, I think what happens is a lot of times people will take and say, oh, well, could it be better? Could it be better? I'm like, you can only get better for so long.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think anybody is going to get significantly better by saying, ooh, like, how about 90 versus 70?
Yeah,
I don't think anybody is actually going to develop better biceps for knowing that.
Because by that logic, you'll say a standing dumbbell curl is a bad exercise because it doesn't load the lengthened the heaviest, but like,
the standing bicep curl is a very good exercise.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it loads the mid a little bit more, but does it really make that big of a difference? I would say not.
Thing is, in the end, it's all going to come down to, is it stable? Can you progress it? And does it have either a descending resistance profile or at least an even resistance profile?
Right.
If it gets significantly harder at the top, then that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, some of those preachers, the Cybex one is horrible like that.
There's like one at Planet Fitness that gets really, really heavy at the top and it's really light at the bottom. I'm like, that sucks.
Sucks. All right, let's do it. Pull. Pull. Perfect. This is almost probably because of my like sort of vertical like rotation. I would say this might be one of the few like options I can use comfortably.
Why is it that you don't like this? I'm just curious.
Because it feels very, for me, unstable and almost like the proprioception thing where like I don't even realize sometimes I'm like shrugging up like that. If you watch me do that, like just for fun.
When was the last time you did a pull-up?
A pull-up? Forever ago. I've always been like programming these.
Okay, let me, can I try something with you?
Yeah, sure.
Just for today? Okay. I actually think that an assisted pull-up, or if you're very, very stable at pull-ups, is just as good, if not better, than a lat pull down.
Yeah.
And the reason being is this. If you take a look, when it comes to a lat pull down, you have very, very high levels of stability here, but here you have the ability for this to move.
Yes.
Where this, if you take and you actually do an assisted pull-up, what you have is you now have stability on every point. It's holding you in place right here, and you're coming up through here like this. It's an incredibly stable exercise and takes you through the exact same range.
Yeah.
So if you're having issues with stability there, like you were saying,
yeah,
I want you to try this and see how it feels. Now, this is a mistake a lot of people make. Mm-hmm. They're like, as soon as they get to a pull-up, I don't know why it is, but as soon as people get to a pull-up, they're like, ooh, and they like jerk themselves up. To treat it like you're really just trying to just pull up as smooth as possible, down as smooth as possible. And I just want to see how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, we'll move on. Straight up. Good.
The only thing I don't like is my feet. Like my feet here, kind of flying around, you know? Okay. That's the only thing. It's definitely not bad, but it would probably take a few sessions to get.
Try without that.
Without that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have true stability and true strength through the lats, you can legitimately pull straight up and down. Because like a lot of people are like, oh, but then there's swing. There will be no swing if you actually have the strength to just pull straight up.
Let's see.
But if you don't have it, then we'll go on to something else. So let's wait till you're, all right, now. Good.
Let's do it. Oh yes.
Good. Yep. Contract through here. Good. Good. Nice. Yep. Up. And you're done.
Oh, that was amazing, dude. That was amazing.
Did that feel good?
That's something I've literally not run in a very long time because of stability reason. Where I'm like, oh, it's just inherently not very stable. But the way you're saying it, you kind of brace the core and keep it like vertical. Yep. Feels super nice.
Well, what happens, like, and if you guys are watching at home, is I'll get people all the time, they'll be like, oh, well, I don't do pull-ups because they're not stable. And I'm like, okay, well, show me your pull-up. Yeah. And then they go like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, that's not stable. Like, of course that's not stable. But if you can take and you actually have legitimate strength and you just pull, like, this is very stable. Like, I honestly don't think I've ever done a lat pull down and it's felt as stable as that does.
Yeah, that felt amazing. I'll be honest with you, it felt amazing.
But if you don't have the strength to do it, obviously, then it's not going to be safe. That's why for beginners, like a lat pull, like a pull-up, is not very friendly.
No.
It's much more friendly for somebody who's not a beginner to do a lat pull down because there's going to be less stability issue with the bar than there is with their feet.
And I guess there's a little bit of coordination, man, where beginners might not be able to know how to actually feel like the kind of adduction, like pulling to the side. They won't know how to do that. So they'll just be kind of like swinging back and forth, almost like a CrossFit.
Well, I've always laughed when people are like, oh, well, lat pull downs are more stable. I'm like, really? I'm like, because that is more stable than this.
That's like that, and then...
Oh, you got the strap on the other side. Oh, don't worry about it for now.
Yeah. All right, let's top it out here. Let's see.
Guys, this is not a reflection of the strap. He just put it on backwards.
All right, here we go. And down. Oh yeah, that's good.
I hate tension, but if you like it, keep doing it. Nice. One more. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good. Oh, he tricked me. He had one more. Push hard.
All right, that felt good.
All right.
I'll normally do like a 3-minute rest between each side on unilateral movements like that. I know some people don't typically do that. And it's not like the end of the world, I don't feel, but like getting your CNS to kind of recharge a little bit so that, especially if your sides are pretty even, if you have a weaker side, obviously resting a little bit less before starting on the stronger side might be a nice way to save time, kind of limit that session duration. But for me at least, if my arms are pretty even, or at least in strength, I'll usually try to rest like 2 to 3 minutes between working sides.
That's just him being a pansy. 30-second rest. I'm just kidding. You guys know how I feel about rest. All right, let's see. I got the stupid bright lights in here. We need some down lighting.
Yeah, need some yellow light.
All right.
Awesome.
Screw Carter extensions. I'm just messing.
Your straps are a lot better than the new one.
Did you see that guy who did, oh, we're still on video, cool. Did you see that guy?
Is this to turn off the TikTok live?
No, this is cool.
This is okay.
Did you see that guy who did what he called the Newton extension?
No, what is that?
So, okay, so the Carter extension, it doesn't actually like make as much sense from a physics perspective because, let's see, make sure this is over here. So if you think about it, this is pulling you kind of this way, right?
Yeah.
So like a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're more stable with your elbow here. But technically speaking, the cable is actually kind of pulling you away from here. So you're almost having to forcefully put yourself back here.
Yeah.
So what this guy did was, and this is something that I was thinking about, but I didn't know how to set it up.
Yeah.
What he did was he found a dual cable system, cable over here, and the cable that was behind him, he took and he made a loop so that it held his arm in place while the other cable, so it held from this side, and then he was able to just fully extend.
I saw that.
And honestly, if you set it up right, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Problem is it's a B to set up.
Yeah.
So it's like, if there was an easy way to set it up or a machine that did it for you, where it was like, okay, it was actually holding you back here while something else pulled from here, it's perfect.
That would be miraculous for me because I always play my rear delt, kind of like hops in a little bit where I'm like, my front delt, my rear delt, where I'm like trying to extend, I have to like lock it in place, especially with a long head. So that would be miraculous for me, but again, it's like setting it up would just be absolutely horrible.
That's the only issue I have with it, because like I tried it out and like by the time I got it set up, it had been like 7-8 minutes. I'm sure you'd get better at it over time.
Yeah.
But it was like, it's good, it's just a lot. It's just a lot to do to make it work.
A lot of times, like, I'll go to the gym at like 5 because I'll be meeting a client there and I'll train with them. I'll get my workout with, over them, whatever. And trying to set something like that up at like 5, 6 p.m. at a crowded gym would be impossible.
Yeah.
Like literally impossible. So that's one of those where, Okay, so you were wrapping it like that. All right.
You're overthinking it, man.
There you go. No analysis paralysis here. Wait. Oh, there we go.
Let it go through here.
Yep. There we go. All right. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I'll have you guys come on the other side actually. So I'm gonna brace like this. Yep. All right. All right. I'll probably go slightly heavier here. Katie. Okay. And here we go. Oh.
Gotta recreate that picture. You know that really famous one of Tom Platz, where Tom Platz is behind Lee Priest, and Lee Priest is like showing his tricep. He's just like screaming behind him in the black and white.
Yeah, it's a sick one.
That's all I want, man. That's all I want. I want one of those pictures that's just immortalized, where it's like everybody will see it for the next 100 years.
Ronnie, there's a Ronnie leg press. Ronnie has a bunch.
The Jay Cutler quad stomp.
Oh yeah.
Like those, it's like you just know that those will be around forever.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But
I love my favorite. Who's your favorite? If you had to pick like a favorite aesthetically, like a favorite bodybuilder of all time.
So the problem is, originally I would have said people who were a lot smaller.
Right.
But as I've loved muscle building more and more, I lean more and more towards the mass monsters.
Yes, I've had the same experience. Yeah.
So it's like before I would have said a guy like Frank Zane.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, like he was my those were my guys who were like wow, that's perfection.
Yeah.
And then the further I got along, the more I was like, you know what, Ronnie looks pretty good.
Yeah. I wouldn't complain looking like that, especially because you're here fighting for size, right?
Ultimately, Phil Heath.
Phil Heath, really?
My favorite physique of all time. Because he's the most relatable to me, because he doesn't have the wide clavicles.
Right.
Like he always had a fairly wide waist and fairly narrow clavicles, but he still made it work. Right. So for me, I'm like, as a guy who has pretty narrow clavicles, I can look up to him more than somebody who is just genetically like wide out to here and like the tiny little waist.
Because he overcame that, like having like a more narrow, like especially his chest.
It's funny. It's crazy to say a guy who is like as genetically good as him overcame.
Yeah.
But it's like I know I can't change my bone structure, but I can at least get bigger.
At least get big, of course. I mean, that's what he did. Yeah. Do you still work with Kaysen Razor? You still work with him?
Not much.
No.
Just because of the fact that he's more into the
MMA stuff now, right?
Yeah.
But I remember, watching him with talking about the clavicle thing was interesting because I guess he, has very good arms and kind of like overcame that, a little bit. So.
Yeah, he's got a good physique. It's just he's just not a very big guy, right? So like
he's 6 foot, I think 170, I think something like that.
Yeah, I think when we took him to stage, he got down into like the 150s.
Yeah.
So it's like as a guy who's that tall, you're just gonna get outmassed a lot of the time.
Yeah. Wait, the camera's still going? Out of sheer curiosity, what do you think my stage weight would be? When people ask me,
how much do you weigh right now?
Right now, like 152 right now. I've taken creatine in a few days, like 153 with creatine probably. I'm like 151, like as of this morning about.
Probably 120s.
More really? I was gonna say 130, like when people ask me, I said 130, but.
Every time somebody thinks that they are gonna be at a certain stage weight, they end up having to lose like an additional 10 pounds.
Really?
Or more.
What is the average stage weight for like, say someone that's like just qualified for IFBB that's like 5'7", like what's their stage weight? Like say someone with your level of muscle mass at 5'7", what would your stage weight be?
IFBB or my
Let's start with let's say yours. I mean, it seems like you're.
So like a natural.
Say a natural pro, yeah.
Natural pro. So I have a guy who I work with right now who we had him at. He might be a little shorter than 5'7". I think he's around 5'6". He went natural pro and he was 140.
Really? That's impressive. Wow.
But like he wasn't a monster by any means.
Yeah.
Right? Like he would have been like the reason he won was his conditioning.
Okay.
So like he could have been even a little bit bigger.
Okay.
But he might have got down into the 130s. But very rarely will somebody be above 150 on a stage weight if they're around like 5'6", right? 5'6", 150 is kind of like you're starting to push yourself.
Right.
Like I would say 5 foot. That 5'4" to 5'6" category, the monsters in that category as naturals are going to be around 150.
Wow. It shows you the difference between natural and enhanced because...
Well, also height-wise, right?
Yeah.
Like a 5'9" physique, like me, I was stage weight 170s, right? But if I was
6 to 8 pounds per inch, is that the average?
They say that, but it really is actually more so. So this is how it works, right? A lot of times what will happen is people, do you know what the square cube law is?
It sounds familiar, but no.
So the square cube law, essentially what happens is the taller you get, the more difference an inch of height makes in your weight.
Really?
So if you take a look at a guy like Yao Ming, right? Yao Ming, like a lot of times people don't realize, was 310 pounds.
Yeah.
Right? Just because he was 7'2".
Sure, sure.
But like 310 pounds as somebody who's like 6 foot is massive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like they don't realize how much, once you get to a certain level of height, that extra inch makes in terms of weight. So if you're 5'4" going to 5'5", maybe that's only an additional like 5-6 pounds of actual like muscle mass.
Right.
But if you're somebody going from 6'4" to 6'5", you might be looking at like 10 pounds of muscle mass.
Is it because like wingspan? I guess like certain things.
It's because it spreads out over a larger area.
Wow.
Because your arms are longer, your legs are longer. Like,
wow.
Or it's not even because of that. It's because like it's like proportionally speaking, like, you know who Andre the Giant is?
Yeah, yeah.
Andre the Giant was over 500 pounds.
Yeah.
But he's like height, if you just were to do that typical like, 7 pounds of muscle, it doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
That's
it's
so
like,
interesting.
It's like, because as the height, like, you gotta think about it this way. If 1 inch of height, but if the depth remains the same, if the width remains the same, that's why they call it the square cube law, right? Because it goes in each direction. Right?
Okay.
It's not just this direction, it's also this direction.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I never thought about that. I think I got my left side to do again. So if you were my height on stage, you said you were what, 175 on stage like when you stepped on?
So when I got fully, the lowest I got my last show, and honestly I think I could have been a little bit leaner if I'm being completely honest with myself.
Yeah.
The lowest I got fully dehydrated and everything was like 172.
Wow. So you'd have actually, if you were my height, probably been in like the 150s, I guess, right? Somewhere in there?
So you're 5'7"?
5'7".
I would have been arguably, 150s.
Wow. So interesting. Some people don't realize that, you know, with the, you gotta be...
Wrong side.
Oh, shit.
So your
80, okay.
Your hook is on the wrong side. So if you're wanting to go down, you'll always want the hook on this side.
Oh, okay.
Because then you're pulling from here.
So would you turn it like this? Wait.
Yep.
Like this? Yep.
Yep.
Like that.
There you go.
That looks solid. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, you hear about the, you know, if you're sub 200, you know, your victim weight, whatever. It's ridiculous.
No, I've always laughed at the people who are like 6'2", 6'3", and they're like, if you're under 200 pounds, I'm like, buddy, you'd be 170 if you were 5'8". Like, you're not big.
All right. Is this your go-to for like triceps, long head, like bias, like doing a crossbody extension like that? That's kind of the really like best way to do that, right? Like one of the few ways to kind of
turn the camera off. So I always do a combination of under and over. Like I know like people will say like, oh, the over doesn't work the long head at all.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like a thing that a lot of people say like because it doesn't have the leverage, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
It's gotta be working to some degree, right?
Yeah, like I basically what I say is this. I'm like, right now there is split data. Yes, you can talk about like pennation angle, fascicle length, like whatever else. It's like, but there is people on both sides of the argument. And I'm like, there's no detriment to doing both.
Yeah.
It's like, and even if you're like, oh, well, it doesn't bias the long head, I'm like, okay, so then medial and lateral.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be working it regardless.
And from what I remember, I think there was a study that showed overhead actually grew slightly more. So I guess that's another thing.
But then people will argue, okay, well, was that growth or was that edema?
Oh yeah,
and
they'll argue.
So it's like a lot of times it's like there's mixed arguments there. But what I say is, look, I know it's a good exercise regardless.
Yes.
It's like so even if we're like, oh, well, probably doesn't work the long head as much. It's like it's still going to work the triceps.
Yeah.
So I'll do an underhand, I'll do an overhand, and then I'll do some form of jam press.
Yeah.
Those are my classic.
Solid.
three.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Nice. Through. Good. One more. Come on. Good.
All right. That was probably 0 to 1 RAR. We were talking earlier about reps in reserve, and like at certain times, it's very hard to make that decision. Are you at 0? Are you at 1? But in my opinion, for the most part, when you are within like one rep that could be maybe 5 or 10 seconds long, it's probably not worth going for that grinder. So even if this is 1 RAR or 0 RAR technically, I don't feel like the difference is all that important for the fatigue cost of like a grinder rep like that.
It's the same thing with your chest.
Yeah.
So what happens is people are like, oh, well, my shoulders, they're not that big. I'm like, no, you're just not super lean.
That's so interesting. So I've always thought my shoulders were my worst body part by far.
No. So like, if you take a look at my shoulders right now, like you see how they have like a little bit of in and out? Like if I had your level of body fat, I would have less shoulder dip than you.
Really? Because that dip,
it's because there's a lot of fat that gets held right here. So if you see like that
fat,
that's what's keeping your shoulder from having as much of the swoop in.
That's so interesting.
But your shoulder development is actually quite good.
Because I do like on lateral raise, it's funny you talk about a stronger muscle is ultimately a bigger muscle a lot of the time. So I do full stack a lot of lateral raise machines. I'm like, they seem strong. Why do they look so poor? And it's because of the body fat.
That's just body fat. Your shoulders are actually very solid.
That's super interesting. Oh, I know. This would be a great machine.
Bro's blaming the equipment for his physique. Crazy work.
He pays $110 for like a really, really shitty gym like by his house.
How much?
110 a month, and the gym sucks.
Outside of Chase in South Florida, that's how much they cost.
What's your working weight on this normally?
Stack. I'm an ego lifter with the biceps. Not gonna lie.
Hey, you know, that's not the worst thing. It's funny, knowing how hard you train, right? The way you train where you're always bringing maximum intensity, you must like really not be a fan of like, you know, the like extreme stretch, like, you know, 50 million reps in reserve, like 25 rep type training that kind of gets thrown around. Like, that's really not, like, I really don't like it.
I have to hold myself back.
Yeah.
Because I love training super hard.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's gotten to a point where I've almost considered going back to just like going balls to the wall. Yeah. Because I've almost gotten complacent.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I need to almost like just overtrain for a little bit just to get myself back into the mentality of going super hard. Yeah. Nice. But not because I think it's better, just because like I want to jolt myself out of a little bit of a lull I've been in.
Right. Yeah, you kind of get those like ebbs and flows, you know. All right, so we're gonna do some preacher curl here. Biceps. Gonna do probably 1 to 2 working sets here, 4 to 7 rep range, somewhere around there. And this is really cool being from Prime in that you can actually load the different resistance profiles. So what I love about this is you have shortened range if you were doing like a hammer grip, a hammer curl, like a preacher hammer curl, option to load the shortened range. That's where the brachioradialis has a lot of leverage, reduce force in that shortened range. And then obviously you have the option to load the lengthened range, which is where the biceps have a lot of leverage to reduce force. And then you have some options in between. So just a very, very versatile machine. And we're gonna hop in here, working in that 4 to 7 rep range most likely here. So here we go. And here we go.
It's a little loud in here, so I have no idea what set's correct, but we're gonna go with it. Come on. Get that fourth. Get that fourth. Come on. Good.
Got one more.
One more? All right. Go. Good. Nice. I didn't think you had that fifth one, not gonna lie.
I had to give it a go. All right.
Bro went to a different place.
Went to a different plane of existence there.
I'm not gonna lie, my biceps are a little bit sore right now. I was doing some stupid calisthenics stuff yesterday because my live was like, see if you can do this, see if you can do this. So I did like these really like weird movements just for fun.
The novel stimuli, the soreness from like novel stimuli is crazy.
Dude, it was like I did like 2 things, and they're sore. I'm like,
it hits you like a truck. It really hits you like a truck. It's horrible.
But we're gonna see if that actually impacts the work itself. All right, let's do this.
There we go. Up. Oh, fight it. Up.
Okay.
Perfect. I was coming around to help you there, buddy.
No.
Got it.
Like my biceps go from having a little bit to having nothing in no time
Half a
at
second,
all.
yeah.
It's just gone.
Do you have big or small wrists? Because I have pretty small wrists.
I honestly have never thought about it. Like, I don't know.
You feel like it impacts your training at all?
What would you think? Based on just looking at it.
Most a little on the smaller end because I think your forearm is really big and like I think the actual smaller wrist makes your forearms look even more like aesthetically pleasing. I think because I don't know, like if you look at mine, like my wrist is super small. I wear the extra small Versa grips, like you see it. So
you
one of those where it's just I kind of got shafted on that, but whatever.
But the thing is, the thing you got to remember is this: the smaller the joint is, the more impressive any muscle looks.
Yeah.
So like if the joint is small, the forearm can be like if you have let's say you have a I don't know, let's say like a 2.5 inch diameter wrist.
Yeah.
And you have a 10-inch forearm.
Yeah.
Or like, what would be like 4-inch diameter forearm.
Yeah.
If that becomes 4.5 inches, because the wrist is small, it looks way more impressive than if you had like a 3-inch diameter wrist and then had that same proportion.
Are you someone that thinks that the forms, I know there are some people who think they're mostly genetic. Do you think that?
Ooh, that is a good question. Let's put it this way. I have seen a lot of people who go about doing training specifically for like forearm wrestling, like arm wrestling and stuff like that. And I've watched them disproportionately grow their one forearm much more than the other.
Really?
So I'm like, if you're gonna say that, it doesn't make any sense to me because why is their arm that they use for arm wrestling, why did that forearm become much bigger than the other one?
Right.
I'm not saying that there's not a huge genetic component, but clearly something happened there that allowed them to grow that forearm.
As I know some people, they'll train wrist flexion and get super strong at it and whatever, and then they say at the end of the day their forearms aren't that impressive looking. And it's one of those things I'm iffy on because I don't exactly know. There are certain scenarios where you see even Kai Green, that's like the biggest example, where this mind-blowing physique and forms that are not as impressive compared to the rest of his physique.
The way that I view it is this, right? It's like every muscle can grow. Every single one. Yeah. I don't care what anybody tells you. But if you're gonna say that it can't grow as well as other ones, that's a completely different conversation.
Yes.
And I'm fine with that conversation. It's just if you're gonna say, like, let's put it this way, right? Me, when I was 150 pounds playing soccer, did not have the forearms that I have right now.
Right, of course, yeah.
Right? And I haven't even trained them specifically.
Also, you never trained your neck directly, right?
So, yes and no. Yeah. So, like, I trained my neck through extreme strain. So what would happen is, like, when I would do, like, my leg presses and, like, all these other ones, I was always driving my head. So, like, people were like, well, you haven't trained your neck. I'm like, I kind of did. Just without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I was always, like...
Because the indirect, I see your neck is very developed from, like, indirect stimulus, I guess.
But before I started training with that intensity, my neck did not have this thickness.
Yeah, no. I brought my neck up an inch. Actually, I measured it, and I was a lighter body weight. I was 160 with a 14.5 inch neck, and then I was like 150 with a 15.5 inch neck, just from training it via, neck flexion for like 6 months.
I think a lot of people get bigger necks just through training overall. Yeah. Because they strain, and that's why you hear like the big guys talk about pencil necks, right? Yeah. Why do they talk about pencil necks? Because they've spent so long in the gym that their neck indirectly got bigger.
Thickened up, yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. Second set, we got 6 on the first one. Probably gonna do the same thing here. All right. Probably get 5 realistically. Okay.
Nice. He's not going to 5. There is no way. Go for another. There's no way. There is no way. There's no way.
All right, that was my set of the month. All right. All right.
I did not expect you to get anywhere near 5 after that first rep.
I wasn't either.
Bro, that is a grind right there.
Deep. All right. Okay, so me and TNF here were talking today about a stronger muscle is generally a bigger muscle, right? As a general principle. But there are certain exceptions. There are certain people that fall at different parts on the graph, right? And he was saying that my side delts he felt were like a little bit stronger of a muscle on me, and he was asking me my working weight for side delts, and I said, yeah, around 35 or 40 pounds, and he said I'd have to see it to believe it. So
I don't believe it.
Take a look. Let's see.
I don't believe it.
So we'll give it a look. We'll see.
It's going to be less.
I'll be honest. If it sucks, you tell me. You know. But
I'm just saying. Like they're good. I don't think they're that good.
We'll warm up 25. Feel it out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I gotta see.
Number 35.
I gotta see. Pretty strict. It's pretty strict.
35, and then with a back support, probably 40. We will see. All right.
We'll see. We'll see if he's got this in the bag. I don't know.
All right. There's 40.
I'm betting his arms go 2 inches lower with
40.
the 40s.
40's pushing it. 35, I think, comfortable. You tell me. Here's 35.
I knew
let's
it.
Let's see 35 with back support.
That jump between 35 and 40
humongous.
is huge.
Yeah, that jump, that 5-pound jump is ludicrous.
Well, I've always tried to explain to people this way, because I'll have people that are like, I don't know why I can't progress my lateral raise. Like I went up by like 5 pounds or like 10 pounds on my press, but I can't go up on my lateral raise by that. I'm like, dude, that's because that's like in a lot of cases like a 20% increase.
30% jump sometimes.
Like you didn't go up by 80 pounds on your press, did you? Because that would be the equivalent.
That would be ludicrous. Yeah. No, it's big, dude.
It's not the same.
No, it's not. So let's see. I'll try working set. You tell me. You say, Matt, you're ego lifting, or Matt, you're not. Here we go. Working set.
I mean, honestly, your warm up looked good. So
let's see.
I'm guessing your technique will be solid for that.
Here we go.
Nice. Good. 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 Good stuff. And you're done.
Okay. What are we thinking?
It looks good. I'll show you the way that I do lateral raises, because I do them slightly differently. It's not like wrong or right. It's just a different way of doing it. So
let's see it.
The way that I do lateral raises is a little bit different, just because I found that often what would happen is myself and others, you tend to cheat it as you try to increase the weight.
Yeah.
So rather than going up to 90, what I do is I actually go through it, just to make sure that I'm getting the fullest contraction possible.
And you don't care as much like, oh, my traps get involved a little bit.
Not
like,
at all.
Who cares,
like a lot of times people are like, oh, go ahead. A lot of times people are like, oh, my traps get involved. Well, what do I do to keep my traps out? I'm like, the traps are gonna work.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
Also, it's your sequencing, right? We're doing an upper day, so who cares if you get a little bit of extra trap? Yeah.
They work synergistically.
Yeah.
The traps and the delt. So it's like, ultimately, your traps are never going to be doing more than the delt unless you're actually going like this. Like if you're not doing that, then you're fine.
And I'd be leery if I had to train traps tomorrow in some weird circumstance I was doing that, but since we're not, it's not.
So what I tend to do is I like to take and I actually go all the way up through. So you'll see I'll go actually above 90 and then I'll come back down through.
And that'll limit the weight you could use by like a lot, yeah.
Jungle.
More, up. Okay. Perfect.
And then it becomes a lot more easy to tell too when you're done.
Yeah.
Because like, it's very easy to tell if you're going above 90 when you're no longer getting above 90.
Yes, yeah. Because I guess anything above here, you get kind of weak. Like your side delt's kind of, so. I'll try it your way. I'll do 30s, since I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'll try 30s your way and see how that goes.
It's one of those ones where I tried it out, and ever since I did it, I've never gone back.
Yeah, there's no reason to. It's what are you gonna like split a hair on top of splitting a hair on top of splitting a hair? I mean, at a point, Okay, I'll try it exactly how you did, and you can tell me.
All right, he's giving our technique a go. Yeah, all the way up through. Nice. Good. There we go. And now they're dead.
All right.
die out fast.
Yeah, yeah, changes.
Yeah,
changes.
And that's the thing. Like, it's not like so. Like, if that's another one of those cases where I'm like, it's not a matter of right or wrong.
Right.
It's just a preferred way of doing it.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Because it keeps me more honest with myself.
Yeah.
Because I found that I was cheating things too much if I didn't actually go through that point.
Also, I think it's kind of nice because it limits the amount of weight you could use just a little bit. So if you have like, you know, achy elbows or like you're rotating, you know, you can kind of.
The problem is this, right? We're always trying to push heavier weights, and so what I would find is people, in order to push heavier weights, what you would find is they would take and they go like this. They start out, they're like here, and then eventually it gets to here, and then eventually the elbows start bending,
and it starts being
and
like
then
this.
They're like, yeah, I do 70-pound lateral raises. They're like,
lurching. Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a lateral raise.
No, that's not a lateral raise. Yeah.
So like, and I was finding myself going that way, so that was just my way of standardizing it, so I didn't cheat myself.
That's nice. That's nice. I like that.
Are you doing like 3 rest days in a week right now?
Right now I'm doing upper lower rest, and just kind of whatever day it falls on.
Because like I'll only do 1 set just because of the fact that I've been going like straight for like 6 days.
Really? So you've been going upper lower, upper lower, upper lower?
Not always, but that's what I had done for the last week. So it's like, so it's one of those things where I'm like, there's no reason for me to be doing like 2-3 sets.
For a while I was doing upper lower rest. So like 4 days on, 1 day off, which also seemed fine, but my legs, my quads did not, especially from like lengthened, like high muscle damage movements like hack squat, my legs were not coming back. Even with 3 reps. I'd be like, oh, let me do 3 reps with 2 RIR, and my quads were still not back in 48 hours. And I'm like, ugh.
The one thing that I've really struggled to reconcile is the data that we have on quads relative to damage.
Yeah.
Where it's like, technically speaking, the quads are supposed to recover faster.
Supposed to.
And I'm like, I've never had a muscle group get as sore as quads do.
No, me neither.
From deep presses and
yes.
stuff like that.
I've had the exact same experience.
And it makes me wonder, were these people not doing full range of motion, and that's what caused them to be able to recover so fast?
Like more mid to shore.
Yeah, like or am I completely mistaking soreness for damage?
Yeah.
Because there's also that possibility too.
So it's a weird one because I trained quads yesterday. I did 4 reps on the hack squat over there, but it was really heavily reverse banded. Like whoever was on it reverse banded it pretty heavy for me. So today they're pretty fine. They're not really that sore. So I'm like, the fact that it was more like mid to short, like a little loaded, you know, they recovered a lot quicker.
Makes you wonder.
All right. Oh. Should I stand to the left?
Dang, I am sore.
Biceps sore?
Wherever you want.
We'll do, yeah, if I stand to the left too. All right.
Okay, let me set this
You guys
up.
got it with the camera? Good? All right, we can start with the tank.
All right.
I don't know anything really about posing at all, so I'll follow your kind of, I know a little bit, but not much.
What's your favorite as of now?
As of now, probably either side chest, which I'm normally hitting like this.
That's fantastic. The side chest is my favorite.
Side chest, maybe, and then I also like the sort of like vacuum mask, like front double by as well, kind of like
Front
this.
double by is awful for me, but hey, let's go with
Depends
it.
on the person.
Ready?
I'm liking this one as well. Like I'm doing like, actually it's more like a shirtless one. We'll do that in a minute. Let's see, we'll do side chest.
All right.
All right.
Let me help you out with the side chest.
Let's see.
All right, hit it.
So the way I would normally do it is this, but you're the expert.
So first off, bring this to here.
To here?
So you want the toe to be at the mid part of your foot.
The mid part of your foot.
All right. Open up. Okay. Now, right now you're crunched. Open this. So it's like, yeah, a little bit more like that. And don't open up this as much. So keep this. All right. And then, so what you want to think is, you want to think like this is being like
pointing it up.
It's just a slight up.
Like the Greek statue almost kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's something about your back.
Yeah.
You kind of like, you have a hard time, like, so I'll show you the difference. So
Yeah.
right now, you're kind of like, it's like this, right? But what you want is
Like turning the neck? Is it
like,
something in the like trap area?
It's like this. You want to pretend like it's pulled by a string to just.
More like that?
So think about this, just raising. Dang, that side delt is massive.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Plaster this against your side a little bit more. And then what you want to make sure is you want this to be as wide as possible while this stays as narrow as possible. So. All right.
That's pretty good.
Now, let's see.
I'll do like this one.
All right.
What are you seeing like in this pose on me? Like strong point, weak point, what are you seeing here?
Go ahead. Honestly, it's a pretty even pose.
Pretty even, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell when you don't see the midsection.
Yeah, we'll take the tarp off in a minute here.
Yeah.
What else?
All right. Now, let's see a back pose, because you got good lats. I want to see what a back pose looks like.
So normally I'll do like kind of like a row kind of deal. Hop in. Lat spread.
All right. Hands a little bit higher. So right now you're hooking your hands down here. Hook them under your ribs instead.
Oh, yeah.
Good. All right, now, whenever you're posing, what you want to remember is typically when the judges are looking at you, they're not looking at you straight on. They'll be looking from slightly down. So like rather than taking and opening up way out here, you want to make sure that you're staying fairly straightforward and maybe even slightly down, just depending on where they're at.
So they'll be looking down, they'll be looking up at you kind of?
Like you stay posed up, but then you just angle yourself downwards towards them.
I gotcha. And then I can do also a back. You want to do a back double by here?
Let's do it.
Sick. Okay. All right. Any tips on that one?
Don't pull back so much. And then tilt back just a little bit. All right, now pull back a little bit more. Okay, so, all right, relax for a second.
Yeah.
All right, now, what I want you to think about is it's a bit of it's a balancing act, right? Behind, you don't want to pull back too far because then you lose your lats.
Right.
But if you're too far forward, then you lose any definition.
Okay.
So you got to find that little midway point between the two. Yeah.
So.
Nice. Up a little higher. Honestly, that looks good. That looks good. I like that. It's a good pose for you.
Let's do it. Awesome. All right, we could take the tarp off if you want.
Tarps off?
Let's do it.
All right.
Tarps off. So in your honest opinion, if you had to guess, what do you think my body fat percentage is right now?
All right, let's see. I would probably say that you're somewhere around like 16, 17.
Yeah, 16. That's why I said 16.
16, 17.
Okay, cool.
Would be pretty accurate. Like
So,
right now, I'm probably looking at for myself somewhere in the neighborhood of like 12, 13.
I would say 14. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I would say that you're not too far off of where I am.
Yeah.
Often people will confuse where my body fat is at because I have thick abs.
Yes.
So like they'll see that the abs are here and they'll be like, oh, like that's like 10% body fat.
Yeah.
They're just
really developed. Yeah. You carry more around like your waist, like hip.
Yeah, my back. Like,
that lower back.
Here.
And I noticed specifically in certain people, like especially for like European, like descent, you carry, it seems like a lot in like your hips, midsection. People from like cold climates, like I don't know, if it's like evolutionary, I guess.
It's tough because it's like you'll be like that, and then people are like, oh, I'm from here, and they'll show you like it's not gonna happen every single time.
Yeah.
So you'll find different populations store differently.
Yeah.
Like I find that South Asians tend to like store a lot around the midsection.
Really?
Right?
Interesting.
And stuff like that.
From like India and stuff, right? Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. It really depends.
All right.
What are our poses here? I was doing the
Ooh,
pose.
that's a good pose for you. Cause you got, man, your bicep is solid. That looks good.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, you're good. Thank you, bro. I also like to swing over this one like just like a standing one, button right, just like a big one.
crazy.
Crazy stuff.
He's more famous than me. All right. Catch you.
Peace out, everybody.